back, give me the check. I need the money and power, respect, but I promise I'm repping the oak to the dead. Hey, oof, I sold them out of my way. I don't got nothing to say. Now they can't run at my pace. Yeah, they know that we ain't the same. 402, we rap the game. I told them this ain't a game.
Yo, what's poppin'? It's your boy CB83A coming back to you for another banger. Shout out to everybody in the chat, everybody tuning in. Hey, be sure to hit the like button on your way in. You already know how we go. We get it in over here. We get it popping. We get it cranking. It's Miami Dolphins content, but today we're in hostile territory. We got the enemies coming in. You know, we peeking behind enemy lines. I got my man DMV Fanatic coming on. It's going to be a great show, man. Giving you guys some great content. I'm hype about this. This is my guy. We've been rocking ever since undergrad at college and college at HU. Shout out to my guy. It's going to be a fun episode, man. He's a big-time Cowboys fan in the DMV. Knows his team in and out. So I'm looking forward to give you guys some good content, just having some good conversation about the matchup. I think this matchup is going to be one for the books, honestly. Christmas Eve game, 4 o'clock. Two teams that have a lot to prove, right? It really don't get no better than this. You get a chance to kind of write the story of your season by going out and having a big game. So looking forward to the matchup. It's going to be crazy. Miami Dolphins versus Dallas Cowboys on Christmas Eve, December 24th. Fantastic stage. It's set. The guys just got to go out there and play, right? We let the chips fall where they may. So shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to the homie Mr. Polk, who was in here first. Shout out to Mr. Polk. He says, good evening, CB83, my brother, in our Miami Dolphins chat room. Hey, fins up. Shout out to my guy, Mr. Polk, for coming in and holding it down first. Let's go. Yes, sir. Shout out to my guy, Mr. Polk, in here holding it down. Appreciate you, my boy. Appreciate you. Mr. Polk says, everyone on our way in, hit the like button, subscribe, and support Finn's Take with CB83. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's get it, Mr. Polk. We going up. Hey, it's a great day to be a Miami Dolphin. Yes, sir. Shout out to the homie Shake Money. He says, throw them fins up. The homie Manny B, who's always at least third, fourth, or fifth, but he's going to come in here and say first every damn time. Shout out to the homie Manny B. Hey, shout out to the Patreon members, Q, Riggy, and S. Harris, who are my captains over there. My squad consists of Irv, William Perry, and Hooked Up Joe. Who's going to be number 4? Who's going to be next in the squad, or who's going to be next to join the captain squad? Be sure to click the link that's pinned to the top of the chat. The Patreon supports the channel, helps me do cool stuff, helps me bring on cool guests like DMV Fanatic, who has, hey, my guy's closing in on 10,000 subscribers. I'm super proud of him. I've seen the grind, seen how he gets after it. And that's what you got to do in these YouTube streets. You got to keep bringing that content, man. So shout out to DMV. Hey, Q, I see you in the building. Q, let's get it. Let's go. Fins up. Shout out to the homie Q in the building. Canes is in the building. Aqua's in the building. The homie Lou. Shout out to Lou. Lou, hey, Lou always going to keep me hype. He going to keep me going. Hey, so one of the homies, not even one of the homies, somebody just called me out on another panel, right? And, you know, I was going at him in the chat, a little banter back and forth, right? You know, a little Miami Dolphins banter. And Lou gassed me up a little bit. Lou gassed me. So what I had to do was I had to go up there and put that dude to sleep, right? That's what I do. So shout out to everybody who was over there at Larry K. Shout out to Larry K's panel over there. Love them dudes. Lucci, it's all good. It happens. It happens to the best of them, man. Shout out to Aqua in the building. What's good, Aqua Vision? JR Black is in the building. Hooked Up Joe is in the building. H is in the building. Hey, Raul P is in the building. Hey, we lit in here, man. Do me a favor, hit the like on your way in. We about to get it cracking. We about to get my guy in here. we definitely got to get some questions for you guys too. So, hey, be ready to interact. I'm gonna take at least 2 to 3, maybe 4 questions that you guys can ask DMV Fanatic towards the end of the show, just to see where his mind is in regards to the game. I think it's going to be a great matchup. The stage is set. Two good football teams with winning records. All they got to do is show up, right? Show up. And we're going to talk a little bit about everything. We're going to talk about our matchups last week and how we played. We might even get into the season overall and where we think our teams are, right? So we're going to talk about a little bit about the past. And then we're going to talk about where we are right now in terms of offense, defense. We're going to talk about the matchups. We're going to see how these teams kind of stack up against each other. And the thing I like about DMV is that he's a film guy too. So not only is he looking at his team, he's also looking at the Dolphins and seeing what they do well. And that's what guys do. Guys who are, into the game, student to the game. We lock in. We get in the lab. We watch the film. We see, hey, these guys got some matchups that are going to be problems for us, right? I know the Cowboys are a good football team. I know they got some talent over there, right? It's going to be about isolating that talent, minimizing it, keeping those guys from making plays. And that's where I think coaching comes into play a lot. A lot of people downplay coaching, but the game plan and the scheme is going to be very important in terms of, how you approach these matchups and how you approach these games, man. And shout out to the homie Canes. Kane says, everyone check out and subscribe to Mace Taggart. Yeah, check out Mace too. Mace is my guy over there. Mace does a fantastic job of providing content as well. So be sure to check out Mace Taggart. That's my guy too. I'll be over there as well. So shout out to everybody, man. So let's go ahead and get this thing cracking, man. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. So my man DMV, let me give y'all a little bit of background. So me and DMV both went to Howard University. We both Howard University grads. We both played on the football team there. Both on the offensive side of the ball. I played tight end. He played running back. So just a really good opportunity for us to just go through school, practice, playing in games. Just a great opportunity. And, I've always had a respect for him and what he does, even though we, go our separate ways. We have families and stuff like that now, right? We're kind of on the same path of, building up a YouTube platform, right? So he's done a fantastic job. He's connected with a bunch of the top YouTubers in the Cowboys community. And that's how you got to be, right? You got to connect with those guys. You got to link with them. But DMV has done a fantastic job of building up his channel. Be sure to subscribe to him, guys. It's not just about Miami Dolphins content. Subscribe to everybody. Learn a little bit about everybody's team. I'm an NFL guy. I'm a football guy, so I respect the grind. I really do respect the grind. So with no further ado, let me go ahead and get my guy on here, DMV Fanatic. Show some love in the chat. Appreciate you. What's going on, my boy? What's popping?
Man, ain't nothing, bro. Hey, this has been a long time coming, bro. I
We've
appreciate
been
the
talking
invite
about this.
for a long time, bro.
We
For a long
have.
time. Yeah, so I'm glad to finally get on here, and it just made sense. So like it's around Christmas time, and yeah, bro, let's get it cracking, man. I'm
Let's get
excited
it
to be here.
cracking, man. I'm excited to have you. I appreciate you taking some time out just to kick it with me and just talk to Miami Dolphins, man. And that's Miami Dolphins Cowboys. This matchup is going to be good. Let's start with this. Let's talk about last week's matchups. And we'll start with you, and let's talk about the Cowboys versus the Bills. How you felt about that game, and even tell us a little bit about your team coming up to this point. Like, what's your thoughts on the Cowboys at this point?
Okay, so I'll go into the Bills game. It was due for us to have a bad showing, right? The conditions were they weren't ideal. So it was a windy game. We were expecting it to be cold, but it really wasn't that cold, but it was windy and it was wet. And Buffalo really just they found their groove early and something that they didn't even plan on doing, which was running the football.
Yeah.
And I knew coming into that game that Cook could be a problem if they stuck with it, but I said to myself, nah, they ain't gonna do it. They're gonna keep playing hero ball with Josh Allen. And they found that groove and they stuck with it. They did exactly what they were supposed to. Um, they found our Achilles heel, which we do have one. And I'm actually we'll talk about our matchup, but they found our Achilles heel and they attacked it and they stayed on top. And it was tough for us it was tough sledding trying to get back into that game with our offense being off the field for so long.
Yeah, and I think that's tough for any offense when you're off the field like that and a team is running the ball on you, right? I feel like you said something interesting there. So you said you felt like they would get away from it at one point, and they didn't, right? Now, I think if that's any other offensive coordinator or any other situation, I think McDermott and the Bills go away from just running the ball and they say, hey, let's let Josh Allen do what Josh Allen does. But they really just kind of took the ball out of Josh Allen's hands and said, hey, we're going to use you in certain instances where we need short yardage. But when it comes to us, this offense, we're going to move it by running the ball. And I was really surprised that they stuck with it. Really surprised, right?
Yeah.
Because usually these offensive coordinators want to get cute and they want to start chucking the ball around. They want to show, my prowess is throwing the football, taking shots down the field. And they did none of that. I think Josh Allen finished like 7 of 15. He made a couple plays here and there, especially in the throwing game when he was outside the pocket. But I felt like they just really stuck with running the football.
Yeah.
They did.
Cook had like 27 carries for like 175. I'm like, ooh. But hey, I mean, I knew it on film. I'm just like, man, he's gonna be a problem for us if they stick with it. And they absolutely did that. And kudos to their OC, you know what I'm saying, for doing that.
Now, a question for you. Do you think your team does have a problem stopping the run, or is it just something that kind of punched them in the mouth on last week and just really caught them off guard? Was it a catch them off guard type of situation, or is that truly what the Cowboys are?
So we lost Jonathan Hankins in the Philadelphia game with the high ankle sprain, which Jonathan Hankins is our one technique, and we're a lot better against the run when he's in there. But what it showed me is that if he's not around, if he gets nicked up, we're in trouble, because what we tried to do was we tried to give our guy, our draft pick, Mozzie Smith.
Okay.
We tried to give Osa, and we tried to give Gallimore a chance in there. And Carl Davis, who we brought up from practice squad, we tried to give him a chance and see if our guys could do it. And it wasn't just them, though. We didn't hold the edges very well. So they're going to have to do some mixing and matching to see what lineup works the best.
Yeah, so y'all are so we're in a position where we're kind of shuffling our offensive line, and I feel like you guys are kind of shuffling your defensive line. So kind of flip-flop situations. So as far as the Miami Dolphins go, I think, we played the Jets last week, who aren't a great football team, but they got a really solid defense, right?
They do.
And they've had a solid defense all year. I think that great defense is kind of dwindling down based on the offense's production, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think there is some handicap there, but I think the Miami Dolphins had a good showing, especially defensively, right? Chubb came out. He had, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery. He had a fantastic game. Van Ginkel was solid off the edge. Duke Riley and David Long were good on the inside. And, our secondary is good, bro. We're good in the secondary. Like, we can lock some teams down. So, we played, we won 30-0. Offense did their thing. We played without Tyreek last week. And Jalen Waddle went off. He had 8 catches for 150. Other guys made plays, whether it was, Claypool or Berrios or whoever it was, those guys made plays. Now, running the ball, I think Mostert had maybe a couple touchdowns, set the franchise record for touchdowns last week. And, we're running the ball decent, right? But we were committed to it. And that's the thing I like about Mike McDaniels in some instances. Sometimes he will commit to running the ball, and that's what I want to see more of from him. And I think that's what we're going to be looking forward to on Sunday is the matchup between the offense, our run game versus y'all defense, especially after that game we just saw. Because Buffalo did kind of give a little bit of the blueprint of how to attack the Cowboys. And we'll see how that works out. But that's that. Now, in regards to the narratives, right?
Mhm.
There's been a lot of narratives out there. Basically, the big one is, hey, these two teams, the Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins, haven't beat good football teams, right? They're both 10-4, got great records, but everybody they beat is below 500. What's your thoughts on that? Because I know you're getting some of that on your side too. So, what's your thoughts on the narrative with, oh, you haven't beat good football teams, you've only beat the teams that you're supposed to beat?
Well, in my mind, I feel like as a competitor, you are an athlete. You got to beat who's in front of you, right?
Yeah.
And you never know who is going to catch a roll. Like for example, I think the Rams are a good team, and I think that they're a very dangerous team, and they'll make the playoffs, and they'll probably have a winning record, but they don't have one right now, and we beat them. My thought is there isn't very. If you look across the league, there isn't much consistent good football around the league, bro.
Mm.
From anybody, not even the good teams. If we're looking at the Super Bowl champion, they're playing worse than either of us right now. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you look at and then the other Super Bowl participant, Philadelphia, we blew them out by 20 last week, and they lost to Seattle. You look at, I mean, San Francisco's playing good, consistent ball, but at a certain point when they lost Trent Williams, they lost three in a row.
Yeah.
So I just think that the parity in the league is a lot closer today. So when you can get a win, I don't think you should overlook that at all. That's how I feel about it. Narratives are narratives. People, I mean, those folks got to get ratings. They got to pay their bills somehow. So
Mm-hmm.
people are going to talk, but when it comes to football, man, you can only really control what's in front of you.
Yeah, and I think that's always the coach's approach too. I watch Mike McDaniel on Hard Knocks, and it's always, hey, we can only control this week. What's in front of us? You know, you line up, you play the game, and you play to win, right? The Miami Dolphins have been in that situation where they say, hey, you've only beat bad football teams. With the teams we lost to the Eagles, we lost to the Bills, and we lost to the Titans, and we also lost to the Chiefs, right? So all of those games were on the road except for the Titans game, which we just dropped. And it was a terrible game the week before, right? We just found a way to lose the game. But I think you said something important. I think the parity of the NFL, and I think all of these teams are closer than we think they are, right? And I think on any given Sunday, you can go out there and lose a game if you aren't ready to play and if you're out there making mistakes, right? If you're out there beating yourself,
Absolutely.
you're going to lose the game. So I think you're spot on in regards to that take because you can only do what's in front of you. You really can. And I think everybody goes out there to win each game each week and get themselves in a position to get into the playoffs, right? Where it's win or go home, and then you have an opportunity to kind of reset the clock, and then it's a new season at that point. So that's
Absolutely.
what you're looking at. Yeah, yeah. So we talked about a little bit about the narratives in regards to the teams. Now the quarterbacks, man, I feel like Dak and Tua get beat up a lot, right?
hmm
What's your thoughts on Dak's? Like, what's his situation like in the media? Do Cowboys fans love him? Do Cowboys fans hate him? Is there a divide in the fan base regarding whether you support Dak or whether you're against Dak, or is everybody for the most part with Dak?
If I'm being completely honest, it's about 50-50, bro.
Really?
Half the people are mad that he took Romo's job, you know what I'm saying, or he took over when Romo was hurt and never gave it back. Um, if we're being completely honest, there's also still the traditionalist Cowboy fan who likes it to look a certain way.
Ooh.
Uh, yeah, I
Now,
mean,
hey, now, yo, now, JG, now that's a totally different conversation. But when you say you Cowboys traditionalist fans who wanted to look a certain way, that's real, and I think a
yeah,
lot of people don't want to really address that because it's kind of behind the curtains. But that's real, man, and I think the same thing kind of goes for two in a sense. It's like, people are used to seeing
I can see that.
Dan Marino, right? They're used to
Yeah.
seeing it look a certain way. They're used to seeing it be a certain way. And then, I mean, you're looking at us coming off a long time of being bad, right? So there's
Mm-hmm.
so much expectation. Like you just want to win. You just want to win so bad. And these fans want to win so much that they criticize and critique every little thing that these guys are doing. So I think it's just really difficult. I mean, as far as our fan base goes, it really is probably 50-50, bro. It really is probably 50% of the people like Tua, 50% of the fans are like, nah, I don't think he's a franchise guy. Now, I think that's changing slowly, right, as he plays better football. But I
Mm-hmm.
think people really are kind of on, there's some people on the fence in regards to whether Tua's good enough and whether he should get the bag next year.
But you know what though, man? Just listening to you say that, because from the outside looking in, the Fence fans that I know love Tua, and they just want him to be healthy. For the ones that I know, they want him to.
Bro,
That's it, you know. But outside of that, like I really don't see. So maybe there is some kind of common ground there where it's just like people just, the half that's on the other side, they just like to be able to complain, and they like to be able to feel
mm.
comfortable and not really put their heart into something that they don't know. I mean, it's just easy to do that. You know what I'm talking about. Like
I
people
and
just like to
yeah,
be
yeah,
happy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I get you, bro. And I think that's where, and I call them bitter Dolphin fans, but maybe it's not bitter. Maybe it's like people who are just, it's like a coping mechanism for some people, right? They just rather be on the side where, hey, if my team lets me down, I knew they were going to let me down all along, so I'm cool with it, right? They don't want to put themselves in the glass half full, because if they put themselves in that box and they get let down, it's like, oh man, like they disappointed me again. But
Yeah.
if I'm in the glass half empty, hey, I expected this, so I already knew what time it was, right? So it's
Hmm.
kind of both sides, and it's crazy the dynamic of like Dolphin fans, and you got the old fans versus the younger fans. It's just crazy dynamics within fan bases.
I'm gonna ask you this question because look, sounds very very similar. Is the fan base that gives you the most like trouble the ones I've been a Dolphins fan since?
Oh yeah, all the time. All the
Okay, all right,
time.
all right, all
I've
right.
been a
I thought it
Dolphin
was just
fans since 1968, bro. And what's crazy is, and I can understand it to a certain extent, but my dad is a Dolphins fan, right? Huge
uh-huh.
Dolphin fan. Been a Dolphin fan since he was born, right? Back in the 60s when he was born, there was no other team in the state of Florida. It was only the Miami Dolphins. There was no Buccaneers. There was
Hmm.
no Jags, right? So he's one of those guys too. I've been a Dolphin fan since, but he is not that type of guy. He's not that bitter guy. He's a hopeful guy, and he has faith in his team, and he wants his team to win, and he wants the best for everybody on the team, whether it's Tua, whether whoever it is. So it's kind of crazy to see the dynamic between the old fans and the new fans, but some of the old fans are cool. Like some of them can kick it and be cool with it. It's kind of crazy to see the dynamics of the fan base though.
Yeah, definitely. I really didn't expect you to be going through the same things that I'm going through. That's crazy to me. I thought it was just the Cowboys fan base, and because we're so big and we've been around for so long,
Yeah.
and we haven't won a championship in so long. But then again, I think about it, y'all haven't won a championship in even longer. So
Even longer, even longer. So it's been a long time since we've won playoff games, and I can understand people being upset a little bit, right? I can understand that to a certain extent, but you still got to be a fan, right? And and when you fan, you can criticize, but when you criticize, I feel like you should be pointing to the film. Like if you show me something on film that we could do and get better, and how we could figure it out, like give me a solution. Don't be just a complainer. Give me a solution for the problem. I think that's where I'm at. I'm like, I just want, hey, I'm cool with you pointing it out. Hey, let's find a solution for it, right? I think
that's it,
that's
bro. That's it.
that's
All
it.
I want is solutions. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think our fan bases want solutions too, right? And I think, we our fan bases complain about the GMs, they talk about ownership. I know y'all get a lot about ownership. How do you feel about Jerry Jones at this point, man?
Um, so it's kind of like it's two sided, right? I'm glad that Jimmy is finally getting into the Hall of Fame, and next week, or into the Ring of Honor for the Cowboys. So they'll be celebrating him during the Lions game. I'm happy about that
Right.
because that shows that he's turned a leaf and he's able to bury that hatchet. hopefully that leads to us winning the Super Bowl or something like that. But at the same time, I feel like him, his son, they get in the way of what I think that they're the thing that could be holding us back because,
Mm.
but at the same time, the operation they have in place to draft players and develop players is damn near second to none, and we're really good at undrafted free agents as well. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, a lot of people they recognize that the Cowboys they do get talent,
Yeah.
but what they're missing at is going to get that one or two free agents that can get us over the hump. They
Ah.
like to be cheap. They don't like to be in the forefront. They don't like to think ahead. Like for example, they always wait until the umpteenth hour to sign or extend Dak, where your quarterback is how
Mm.
you can manipulate the money. You get what I'm
That's
saying? Y'all
that's how
wait.
you hide that money, man.
Yeah,
You,
exactly. So
yeah, you
two or
get them
three.
paid up front, right?
Exactly. You're supposed to think 2, 3 years, hey, let's extend them. And then, you know what I'm saying, you sign in everybody else and then you restructure your quarterback. They wait to the absolute last minute. Then Dak has all the leverage, your quarterback has all the leverage, Romo had all the leverage, and then
Hmm.
you're stuck. But they do that with every contract. So
And bro, and that's honestly that's where the Miami Dolphins too are too, right? I feel like, and honestly, I feel like that's where the NFL is kind of trending towards because I feel like the NFL is kind of having a hard time committing to guys long term, right?
mhm,
I feel like they're only committing to guys long term if they're showing that they could be healthy nonstop and that they could play well consistently, and that's just hard to come by in the NFL, right?
mhm,
Because injuries happen and guys are going to have games where they're not playing their best. But we could have got ahead of this Tua situation, maybe last year, right? But I can
mhm.
understand the Miami Dolphins saying, "Hey, we're not comfortable with paying him because he hasn't shown that he could be healthy for a full season." So we're kind of in that boat too. And honestly, when it comes down to this stretch of 3 games versus you, the Ravens, and the Bills, I think this is gonna like either elevate Tua to being one of the highest paid quarterbacks, or it's gonna keep him on that plateau where he's gonna be with the Daniel Jones and maybe some of those guys who are getting a 45 or $40 million a year contract. So we'll see how it plays out. But these quarterbacks are such a dynamic part of the team, and they get so much like scrutiny. They get so much put on them. But I really do feel like it's a team game, and they don't take that into consideration all the time. That what you put around these guys and how they perform, the coaching staff, the scheme. I think it's all based on all of that together, bro. All of that together.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So Um, but bottom line, I think both are really good quarterbacks. I think that they're top tier at least this year. Even in a year where I look at it this way, a lot of the talking heads say stuff like, well, Dak is here because Patrick Mahomes isn't playing so well, or Joe Burrow is hurt, or whatever. Blah 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 blah. To me, goes back to what we're saying. These guys, both of them, Tua, Dak, they've had to handle what's in front of them, and they've been doing the damn thing this year. They've been
Yeah,
doing it.
they have, and that's what I want to continue to see these guys do. And I'm rooting for y'all down the stretch. Outside of this matchup right here, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's 2 man enter, 1 man leave at this point.
hmm
And either one of us got to come out of there with a dub, but I think it's going to be a good matchup, a really good matchup. Um, so let's get into the game a little bit. Let's talk about these defenses first, right? And I'm gonna let you start talking about your defense and how you guys feel coming into this matchup against the Dolphins.
I feel that our defense is could be a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? I think that our defense has been smoking mirrors for the most part. We get up, we're front runners, you know what I'm saying? And when we can pin our ears back, get to the quarterback, we do so. You know what I'm saying? We like to try and get up on you, and then you know what I'm saying, we try and pin you down. But if you hit us first and you hit us
Mm,
early and often, you know, we kind of tuck our tail a little bit, and that's on the defensive side of the ball, especially if you can run the ball. We've had 3 instances where we just got punked, flat out punked.
mm,
The Arizona Cardinals, they ran at us. Um, the San Francisco 49ers, they ran at us. The Buffalo Bills, they ran at us. The only game that we lost that we weren't completely punked when we were in the game was the Philadelphia Eagles, and that was a common opponent. So our defense on the back end, though, I think is more solid than what's let off. I know that we lost Trayvon Diggs, but Deron Bland has stepped in and probably been about 80 to 85% of what Diggs really is, even though he has the record for pick sixes. He's
Yeah.
still not Trayvon Diggs, but he's pretty good. Stephon Gilmore has played pretty well. Go ahead. You about to say something?
Yeah, yeah. So I want to talk about Bland for a second. I mean, that's an interesting story, right? Diggs gets hurt. Bland comes in for him, leads the league in pick sixes. Is he legit, or do you think a little bit of that is fool's gold? What's your thoughts on that?
No, I think he's legit because last year he had 5 picks too. So I think he's one of those guys, kind of like a Dre Bly. You know how Dre Bly used to be able to just find the football and
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying, you'll
yeah. Be
get
around the
beat here
ball.
and there. Yeah, you'll get beat here and there, but for the most part, you're a good corner. That's what Deron Bland is, and he's only in his second year. So I think that the sky's the limit for
Mm.
that young boy. You know what I'm saying? I think he's gonna be straight. I don't think he's fool's gold. I think that Seattle game, he got beat like a drum. He got beat really bad, but outside of that, he's had a really, really solid year. Really solid year.
That's what's up, man. So your defense seems solid. This Mike and Tyreek been getting after it, man. What's your thoughts on Micah this so far this season? How has he been playing, man?
So there is a narrative right now that Micah should possibly move back to backer since we're thin at the position and we're having trouble stopping the run. But in my mind, I feel like Micah should do a little bit of both. What you're gonna find out in this game when we play y'all is that they look at him as an edge guy. I don't think most of his success has been on the edge. Micah can line up over your center sometimes standing up, or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes he can line up standing up in the three tech, and he can get after it with these stunts. He's been probably more effective in the middle rushing the passer than he has been on the outside. So I'm interested to see how they line him up this game. I would like to see him move him around so that when the teams try and run, they don't run away from him, and then we're stuck in no man's land on the other side. I think Dan Quinn has to do a better job of moving him around, but I think he's having a
Mm.
really good year. I don't think he's defensive player of the year anymore, but I do think that he's capable of taking over a game if Dan Quinn pushes the right buttons.
I think so too. I think Dan Quinn has done a good job with him, especially with him coming in as a rookie. He just kind of let him play football, and I think a lot of guys don't always get those opportunities. When they're studs like that, to just come in and play football, put the guy into different situations and see what works best for him. And I feel like Dan Quinn
Mhm.
did that. He let him kind of be that alpha that he can be out on the field, whether it's lining up, over the center on the three technique, like you said, or outside on the edge. You give him the opportunity to stunt and to move around those guys. He's quick, he's catty, he's gonna find the football. So you got to give him those opportunities, and I think that's going to be a challenge for our guys this week for sure. Is just making sure you identify Micah, like identify Mike, find out where he's at. Make sure you get a hat on him at all times, and I think when they're in these meetings this week, right? I think they're watching the film and they're identifying that guy. They're saying, hey, make sure you point this guy out. Know that he's going to move around and do certain things. So I think that's going to be important for us as far as the game plan goes. It's just making sure you identify him, making sure you get a hat on him every time because he can cause a lot of ruckus in the backfield. And that's the last thing that we need is pressure on our guy because Tua's not the best under pressure. He's not the best off platform. That is where he could be a little better, kind of moving away from pressure and being able to make plays off script. So that's where we got to be a little better. So that's going to be an interesting matchup to see for sure this week, for sure. But I mean, we talked about your defense. I mean, my defense is. I think our guys are solid, right?
They are. They are.
Um, and I think my guys are best, right? And I don't know how you guys use your tight ends. I don't know if you use 12 or 22 personnel or 11. But when teams get into those heavy tight end sets, when they get into double tights and stuff like that, my guys are at their best. right? When we can get into a bear front and we have Chubb on one side, Van Ginkel on one side, and we got Raekwon, Christian, and Siler in the middle, right? Man in that middle, and then we got our two backers right there, Duke Riley and David Long. That's when we're at our best, right? Because we know corner-wise, secondary-wise, we can kind of match up with anybody back there. We got the athletes. We got Ramsey. We got X, right? X supposed to be coming back this game. We got Kader Kohu. We got veterans like Eli Apple who can come in and make plays when we need to make plays, right? And he stepped in last week in the absence of X and made some plays when he needed to. But safety-wise, I feel like our safeties are good, right? Brandon Jones, Deshaun Elliott, Javon Holland. I feel like this defense is really good, but they got to find a way to get off the field. When this defense gets a little tired and they start dragging, bro,
I've seen it. Yep.
It starts looking, it goes downhill very quickly. So they got to find a way to pressure, right? Pressure Dak and get off the field on third down. Like, you got to find a way to get creative with some of these stunts, and that's what I like about our defense. We're going to do a lot of movement. There's going to be a lot of movement up front. You'll see Christian Wilkins and Siler shifting as soon as they're about to snap the ball and trying to confuse your defensive line. I mean, your offensive line, because that's really what we want to do. We want to confuse your guys because we know if we can confuse you up front, then we're going to get home, right? And that's what I see a lot of from our defensive line is just making sure that, hey, we're shifting in the right areas. We're going to the right gaps. We're using guys' leverage against them and giving other guys. It's like on a defensive line, on a defensive unit like that, you got to play for each other. So you got to understand that, hey, not everybody's going to get a sack every time. Sometimes I'm setting this other guy up for a sack. And that's what we do best is just play for each other. And it's not really one guy beating his guy every time. It's more of, hey, this time we're going to, do a stunt in the middle. Somebody's going to come around. We might be able to loop around and get some pressure on Dak and get a sack, maybe get the ball out on some of these plays. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing for sure.
Aren't y'all top 3 in sacks? I want to say y'all like top 3 or something
I
like that.
think we are. I know we're top 10, top 5 maybe for sure. We have 3 guys approaching 10 sacks right now. We have, I think Chubb has about 9. I think Christian Wilkins has 8. And I think Zach Siler has 7.5. So we got some guys who are really pressuring. And I think we got Agbo with a couple as well. Van Ginkel's got a couple. So, yeah, I think we are kind of up there as far as sacks goes. We're going to pressure the quarterback. I want to see if Fangio is going to send the linebackers a little bit more, because I think when you send those linebackers, you get home just a little bit more. I know he's trying to pick up on your tendencies and what you guys do on certain downs, so we'll see how that works out. And that's that chess game that we get to see and how it plays out during the game, which will be definitely fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, Fangio, this game right here, it kind of it's a little bit of a thorn in my side because a couple years ago we had things rolling and Fangio came in with Denver and what I'm saying, he put the blueprint on how to really stop the offense with us then. But Kellen Moore was calling the play, so it was a little bit different. I think coming into this matchup, Dak is going to be huge at the line of scrimmage because the one thing that I like about you guys shift well and you guys disguise well. So what Dak is going to have to do is he's going to have to mix up his dummy calls well enough to know what you guys are in, because you guys play a lot of zone. And you play zone very, very well.
And that's what we do. That's where we hang our hat. Really, our bread and butter is playing that zone defense. So, yeah, I mean, we can get into man and play a little bit man. We play a little bit of matchup zone where we do maybe like a Tampa 2 or a cover 3 underlook where we got some pressure underneath and we're playing guys at the line of scrimmage. But, I mean, this secondary has the athletes to play. And I think shutting CD down is going to be key for us. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get into a little bit of the offense. What's your thoughts on the Cowboys offense and how you guys will attack the Dolphins defense?
Yeah, so it's kind of a love-hate relationship with our offense, right? Like for the most part, it's love. I love when we're motioning and we're moving around and we're getting our matchups. On the road, we do not motion as much. and that gets us in trouble. Like I looked last week, C- CeeDee Lamb wasn't motioning as much. It was almost as if we were trying to motion to get Cooks open, you know. And I think when we're moving CD around, that's when we're at our best. I also think last week we started to get the run going with Pollard. The last couple of weeks, Pollard is starting to get his legs up under him. But for the most part, besides last week, the offense had been scoring like damn near 40 points a game and had been electric and damn near scoring every time they've been on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Mike McCarthy started off the year rusty. I think he started trusting Dak a little bit. Dak started using his legs a lot more. And that's actually Achilles heel for y'all too. I kind of noticed that quarterbacks that kind of because you
Get
guys
outside
like
the
to
pocket. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's a
yeah.
problem. So, and I think you make a good point there because some of these stunts and some of this freedom that Fangio gives these defensive ends, um, it can get you into bad situations, right? Like some of
Mhm.
these sacks that Chubb got last week were basically sacks where he just went inside immediately. And if that was any other quarterback who could just turn and get out of it and roll out to the right side, right? There was no
Mhm.
contain there and they would have easy yardage. But I'm sure the Cowboys are watching that this week and saying, hey, Chubb likes to go inside a lot. He likes to take that inside move. He's leaving nobody over there. We got to do a good job of understanding that, hey, if Chubb's going to make that move, we need to have a corner coming downhill ready to contain that guy and keep him in the pocket. And we'll see how mobile Dak can be and whether he can get off platform and make those throws. But I think that's going to be definitely interesting to see as to how he moves around in that pocket for sure.
Yeah, and it also depends too, because I know both of our teams. One thing we haven't talked about yet is both of our teams. I think your offensive line yesterday, your whole offensive line didn't practice. I'm not sure if it was by design. I know Zach Martin and Tyron Smith, they're rehabbing right now, and
Mm-hmm.
they are. I don't know if they're questionable for this week or not, but that's huge for us, especially against you guys in that front you guys have.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, our front has been good, surprisingly, bro, because we had Jerome Baker go out, who's really like an integral part of our defense. He had the green dot. He was calling in the plays for the front seven. Um, and he went out, and it was like, man, how are we going to fill that void? We got Duke Riley. Duke Riley's really always been a special teams guy for us. But he's actually came in and like performed well. Like he's graded out as one of the highest graded linebackers in the league these past couple of weeks based off of his production. So it's really good to see, and I think that's a testament to Fangio and how he prepares his guys for these games. He's a vet. He understands what these guys are supposed to be doing and how to teach the technique, and they're getting in there and performing. But to be completely honest with you, I like our defense, but there's some concerns as well. The secondary sometimes can get beat up a little bit. Sometimes in those zones, there's some gaps in those zones that Dak can definitely fit the ball into, right? There's some windows there. So I think Dak will be looking to take advantage of those opportunities of kind of sitting down in those zones. And if, your receivers and Dak are on the same page regarding the windows and where they need to anchor down and look for the football, I think, you guys could give us some fits in terms of that passing game. But you got to kind of be in tune with each other, understand where you need to be in certain looks, and just make the throws and execute, right? And that's what it's going to come down to.
I also think too. To me, I think the X factor for Dallas, where I looked at a little bit of Cook in the first matchup with you guys, but
Yeah.
I specifically looked at Tajay Spears in that matchup 2 weeks ago,
Ooh,
and getting him
he
on the
was good.
linebackers. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
and I think Tony Pollard is built like him, is quick like him. Getting him on the linebackers in the passing game could be something that could be an Achilles heel for you guys because you guys your linebackers like to come downhill. They don't like to be in that
Hey,
zone. They
hey,
like to come
that
down and thump you. Yeah.
exactly. Our guys don't want to be out there in coverage running after somebody. That's not their strong suit. Not their strong suit
Mhm.
at all. And you brought up a really good point because Tajay Spears killed us the week before. He literally was making plays all over the field. You hit him in that check down area, and
That's it. Yep.
he could get ghost on you. And I think Pollard has that same ability, but will the Dallas Cowboys expose that? Will they take advantage of it? Or will they stick to trying to force the ball to CeeDee Lamb or some of those guys on the outside? It's going to be interesting to see, but the matchups will be there. I think the stage is set. Like it's going to be a dogfight. Definitely going to be a dogfight, but I like your offense. I think you guys can run the football. I think you guys throw it well. And I think our defense is in for a challenge. I mean, and that's what you have when you have two good football teams. I think you get challenged on both sides of the ball, and you got to figure out, who's going to make the plays, who's going to get your name in the paper. I think that's what it's about at this point, for sure. But that was a good take on your offense. I'm going to talk about our offense a little bit. I think we're coming off a game where, played pretty well for the most part without Tyreek. Tyreek I think he's definitely going to play this week. How do you feel about the matchup, Tyreek Waddle versus your cornerbacks? What's your thoughts on that?
I think our cornerback, if we can't get into his face to where we kind of block his vision to want to be able to hitch or pull it down, I think our DBs are food because they're too fast. But that's everybody though, bro. That's everybody. That's everybody. So
and that's the crazy thing about the NFL too. I mean, it's like if you ain't getting to the quarterback, these teams can typically pick your ass apart. They can typically pick you apart if you not really doing your thing and getting to them. And I think Mike McDaniels will have to scheme up something really, really good this week. And I think he's going to have to attack you guys in the run game. And I think where Tua will eat will be like off play action, right? You got to get Micah. You got to get Micah coming up to the line of scrimmage. You got to get these linebackers coming downhill. If you get them coming downhill a little bit and you can squeeze Tyreek behind the linebackers in the middle of the field, or you can catch the safety slipping and he's looking in the backfield, his eyes are in the backfield, and Tyreek can sneak behind him, I think you're going to have a shot for some opportunities. But I think you guys got to be really disciplined on defense, and that's the same thing we got to be in offense. Like, we just got to go out there and execute. But our offensive line has been shuffling, bro. Like, we're down to, our third and fourth stringers in some areas, right? And it's a struggle, I think. Everybody at this time of the year is hurting a little bit in terms of injuries. Our offensive line is, they're not bad, but there's a couple guys on there that are a little bit shaky in some moments, right? Sometimes there's some penalties that set us back, or, they have a couple plays where they give up really, 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 really bad pressure. So, it's going to be interesting to see how we match up. I think Mike McDaniels has to attack Dallas, right? He has to keep our offensive line heavy on their hands. And when I say heavy on their hands, they got to be moving forward, right? Even in pass pro, right? The action's got to be sliding left, sliding right, giving them an opportunity to really attack the line of scrimmage instead of just stepping back and like waiting for the pressure to come to them. I feel like that's the approach they need to take, and I think that's when our guys are at our best offensively, for sure.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Mike McDaniel is not like he doesn't have experience against us. Quite frankly, he got that job because of what he did to us in the playoffs a couple years ago as the OC for the 49ers. He ran at Dan Quinn. He found the rules in his scheme, and he found a way to exploit it. That's what Mike McDaniel does, So we have two coaches on both sides of the ball from Miami that have had success against us in the past. Have had success. The only difference is our offense isn't the same. So Fangio is not going to be the same game plan he could use from a couple years ago. It's not the same Dak from a couple years ago.
It's a more seasoned Dak. Better football player, and I'm sure he's looking at the growth right over the years, is
absolutely
how Dak has matured and how he's able to identify coverages and make the reads quick. I think that's what we're looking at. I think Tua will be key in this game too. Tua's got to find a way to make some plays, like point blank period. Even with pressure, even with guys coming, he's got to find a way to hit the open guy. He can't take a bunch of sacks. He can't take a bunch of hits. We got to stay ahead of the chains. Like that's when the Dolphins are at their best, when they're in 3rd and
Yeah.
3, 3rd and short. We can win in that because our whole playbook is open, when you get into 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 4, right? But when you're looking at 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 13, bro, you're not winning in
Yeah.
that. It's just too
Yeah. And
difficult.
Micah, if you're talking about this O line shuffling and all this stuff, Micah destroys folks, bro. He just
Yeah, he's a
does,
beast.
especially if he can pin his ears back. Yeah, it could be curtains. So I do think that that's going to be in your game plan. You guys have the backs. You guys have A Chain. You guys have Mostert.
Yeah.
You know, and they understand exactly, like Mostert understands more than anybody what Mike McDaniel likes to do, and it's a variation of what Kyle Shanahan does. So the reason that I really like this game is it lets us know how prepared for San Francisco if we were to meet them
Ooh.
in the playoffs, how much more prepared we are from when we got our butt whooped to now, because
Mm.
this you guys are pretty much diet San Francisco, and I say diet San Francisco because they're a little heavier up front. Y'all don't got no Trent Williams. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Y'all
Yeah.
got y'all
We're a
don't got
little
big Trent.
we're more finesse than they are in the trenches for
Yeah,
sure, right? So
yeah,
I can get what you're saying there. I think we are very similar teams. I just think they're more physical up front, even with Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is he's an animal, right?
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
He's running different this year, and we have finesse backs, but we don't have that guy who could just pound it up in there like that. So we'll see. I think, like you said, it's going to be great opportunity for us to kind of gauge where we are, and just kind of figure it out, man. I mean, great opportunity, bro. At this point, I mean, stage is set, bro. It's set. I
hmm
mean, you got two solid defenses. You got two quarterbacks looking to figure it out, get over the hump. You're looking at two coaches that got a lot to prove in early tenures as head coaches of big franchises. Um, and you're looking, I mean, at this point, you're looking to make a run, right? Everything you do from here on out, you want it to be good because you want to go into the playoffs rolling, right? You want to go in there rolling. So I think it's going to be fun. But I got a couple questions in the chat. I asked some guys for some questions. Guys, I need a couple more questions, but let's roll with this one first. This is my guy, Hooked Up Joe. This is one of his questions. He said, how will Dallas stop us from using the blueprint on them? And I think he means the blueprint by what they did last week, Buffalo did, and just run the ball directly at you guys.
that's an excellent question, and that's something that I would like to know. I would like Dallas to. I think it would have to be more personnel based with Dallas. They have to, stop being like, okay, we're going to experiment with this guy. They're going to have to solidify whatever lineup it is and go with their best lineup. Because I expect Mike McDaniel to run the football, try and establish the run early on, play action,
Yeah.
and get you guys that way. Because if you guys try and just drop back and pass, I don't think that will be a successful I don't think that would be a successful recipe for you guys. But if you guys could get that run going, it's going to be a long day for our defense. I'll tell you that much.
Bro, I think you're spot on. I mean, people want Tua to be the guy to drop back 30, 40 times and just throw the ball. That's just not him to me. That's not when he's at his best. I feel like when Tua's at his best, you are running the ball efficiently. You get 30 carries a game. Tua gets 25 to 30, throws. But keeping him below 30, I think, is key. I think that's a sweet spot for Tua, just not putting the ball into his hands too much because there's a lot that could go wrong. And I think when you got the defense playing downhill is when Tua's cerebral, when he could pick you apart. And I think that's going to be key as well. So great take there, bro. But, man, it was a blast having you on, bro. Any other things you wanted to talk about before we get out of here?
Man, bro, I appreciate you having me on, man. I was trying to get Trav to come on, but I think Trav is busy with football out there. But I
Oh,
was hoping
okay.
to get him on too. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a diehard Dolphin fan as well. But
Yeah, I
nah, that's
gotta get Trav on. Trav is one of our teammates. He's in South Florida. Actually, the offensive line coach at Chaminade, right?
Yep.
So they just won their third straight state title down there. Them dudes is rolling.
Rolling, bro.
And really one of the best teams, one of the best football teams in the country. And he played center for us at Howard. And just a fantastic dude, fantastic teammate, great player on the field too, just tremendous. And I actually was talking to Twan recently as well, and Twan was a hell of a running back too. So
love Twan, bro.
Yeah. A lot of great players came out of South Florida and came up to Howard University and played good football. But man, it's fantastic having you on. Hey, I gotta go over there and talk to you a little bit as well. We'll definitely catch up, man.
For sure, bro. Hey, come you welcome on my channel at any time, bro. I haven't done any lives lately because it's a little bit tough on this side. And actually I found out my channel's been doing a little bit better since I don't do lives. People like the 8-minute videos a little bit better. But
I know it's kind of crazy, bro. And that's the thing too. I think I've always kind of done the lives, right? And that's what people are used to. But I gotta start getting to the point where I record a little bit and just kind of sit down and talk to guys and do like 10-minute videos, because I do feel like people don't always have the opportunity to watch these long lives, and they get intimidated by them because they're so long, and they're like, man, I don't want to sit there and watch that long. But hey, we got to talk. We'll chop it up for sure, bro. But I appreciate you coming on. Hey, be sure to subscribe. Let me go ahead and put your link to your channel in the chat so people can just subscribe to it, man. What do you got coming up over there?
Man, I know that we're gonna be doing the tailgate at FedEx. When we for week 18, Mark Holmes is gonna be doing the tailgate out there. That's actually how you found me and was like, "Yo,
oh, that is true, bro."
Yeah,
so I found you through Mark, right?
Yeah,
which was wild, bro. Because I was watching Mark. Mark is a huge Cowboys YouTuber over there, right? So huge Cowboys YouTuber, and I saw Mark, right, and I was like, dang, that looked like JG in the back. I was like, who is that? And I was like, oh, that's JG. Then I found you on Facebook, and I was like, bro, I saw you on Mark. What's popping? And then when did you start your channel?
I started it actually. So I started doing videos actually around like 2015 or something like that actually, and I did like one or two, and I ain't like them like that, so I stopped. Then I met Mark in 2018, and it started taking off. I started doing videos for real, so I've really been at it for about 5 years.
Dang, that's what's up, bro. That's dope, man. I'm glad to see you doing your thing. I'm like a year and a half in now, but hey, I'm gonna keep plugging away, man. You already know what
Bro.
time it is.
You doing the damn thing, bro. I'll be watching all the time, bro. So hey, keep leading from the front. And I also want to say something to the people out here too. We're two HBCU grads.
Yes.
I'm looking in the league right now. The HBCU guys are out here doing the damn thing. And I think that awareness needs to be, had for the HBCU players out there. Because you hear us, we're high IQ. You know what I'm saying? Like
intelligent dudes. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And honestly, bro, we come from that cloth where we play with great players. We got a great education from a great university. We're well spoken. We could do this, bro. This come easy to us, right? We watched a lot of film. We know ball. Bro, we could do it all. We could go to toe to toe with any of them, the best of them, bro. But this is us, and HBCUs need to get some love, man. They need to start getting that attention. Even the coaches, the referees, the MEAC, the SWAC. Shout out to HU, FAMU, all the Morehouse, all of them schools, man. There's so many great universities, so many great students getting great, college educations and going off to do great things with great corporations too, bro. People are out here killing it. Literally.
Absolutely, man. And that's kind of where it's at, bro. So this draft season, man, I'm really trying to get back to HU. I'm trying to get some film on some guys that's upcoming, not just at Howard, but FAMU, you know what I'm saying, SWAC, all that. I'm trying to show love to those guys because, hell, we got a guy named Marquise Bell starting linebacker for us right now. Went to FAMU, having a hell of a year.
Yeah, he's having a hell of a year. He kind of flew under the radar early, but now, hey, he's on the stage now, bro.
Yeah,
on the stage.
And we both knew Deuce, bro. You seen what he did when he
Oh,
got that
bro.
opportunity, bro. So hey,
The-
I just had to say that at the end of this live, bro. I had
bro,
to.
that's love, bro. And honestly, you know, sometimes I take it for granted, you know, going to HU and not repping enough. But man, I love my university, right? I love my experience was fantastic. Bar none's one of the best experiences I had in my life was going to HBCU. So much love, bro. Hey, that's where we linked up, where we became 10 toes down, and I appreciate you for coming through, bro. It's all love, man.
No problem, bro. Appreciate it anytime.
Bet. Hey, I will get you back on soon, though. We got to talk about that little recap afterwards.
Oh yeah, I'm down, bro. I'm down.
All right, bet, man. Have a good one.
All right.
Later. Shout out to the homie DMV for coming through. DMV Fanatic, man, subscribe to his YouTube channel if you haven't already. Let's get him to 10K. The link is in the chat. Go over there, subscribe, show the homie some love. It don't matter if he Cowboys or Dolphins, whatever he is. He my guy. Support, man. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all coming through. If you like the show, be sure to hit the like. Be sure to join the Patreon if you haven't already. Shout out to all the Patreon members that were in the building. I see you, Joe. I see you, Irv. I see you, Woo Back. I see you, DG Live. All the homies in here. Matt Batten, what's going on, man? What's going on with you? Raphael's in the building. Chef Jew. Andravius was in here. Color was in here. Shout out to everybody who came through and showed love, man. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. You already know what time it is, man. It's The Voice. Fence Take with CB83. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. And I'm out. See ya.
Came from the bottom, that's foreign. I swear that I'm up for the sun in the morning. Oof, hey, I gotta flex. I need a Nike bag, give me the check. I need the money and power, respect, but I promise I'm repping the O to the dead. Hey, oof, I sort them out of my way. I don't got nothing to say.